present.
Okay, so there you have it. Now, I have folks in studio who are involved in this. I have Trax Cordero, who was one of the rappers. Hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And I have Kyle Mischiek. Hello, welcome.
Hey, what's up?
And I have Allison Haley, who's been involved in the project too. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Very well.
Great.
Okay, I want to talk about how this came together. I mean, The Island is one of those classic Cape Breton songs. I'm sure every single person knows every single word of every single verse. When you take something like that and you say, I'm going to make it my own, how does that conversation start?
It started with the Next Big Thing competition. I don't know how many people I've actually told this story to, but it started with the Next Big Thing competition, and it was ECMA night. So everyone had to do something from the East Coast-ish kind of side of things. And there's a rapper named Classified. He's from Halifax, and everyone was expecting me, because I'm a rap artist, to cover a Classified song. And I was like, I want to surprise people. So we just came up with this idea to take, I mean, that song is so Cape Breton-y. It's like the number one, like, it's like the anthem. So we had the idea to just do a spin on that and make it into like a hip hop song.
So the versions, there's a few versions out there of The Island, and the Bears have one, and I think Kenzie himself did one. Which one did you use?
I think the lyrics in them are all generally the same, but it was the Bear McNeils we were talking about.
It was the Bear McNeils you were talking about. Now, underneath, there's stuff that goes on underneath that, though. And when you got into studio, you had to decide what musicians you were going to use and all. Tell me about that process.
Well, we still used the same boys that participated in the Next Big Thing competition. We wanted those guys to feel as included in this project as they were, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have had created such the funky musical jam session that we did create during the competition.
So who were they?
It was Anthony Ludi, Avery Norman, and Michael Mumberkesh, and
I think that was it.
That was it, yeah.
That was for the musicians, yeah.
Yeah, and then Kyle was doing the rapping through that part, and then after that, we wanted to add Trax into the mix.
And Trax, how did you come into the mix? When you heard about this project and said, I think this sounds like an idea, just tell me what went through your mind.
When it was brought to me. I heard Andrew gave me the idea a while back, and we were thinking on doing it before, but we never got around to it. And I heard when Kyle did it at the Next Big Thing, and it was a good kicker. The audience loved it, and it was all Kyle at first, and then when Andrew asked me to do a verse for it, I jumped right on it. It was awesome.
Because you rewrote it. I mean, there's The Island, there's the song we all know, and then you are man of your generation. You are bringing the stuff that you're taking from the culture. So tell me what's in that, because I know that there are people who are listening to it, they're hearing the rhythms, they're hearing the sounds of your voices, and it might be a few passes before they get to hear exactly what you're saying. What are you saying in your content?
Basically, it's just everything about the island, the landmarks, the way people act around here. It's a Cape Breton. It's one of a kind thing where our people is just like certain kind, right?
The one that jumped out at me yesterday when I heard it was we talk about the pronunciation of
H or
H.
H.
Of H
yeah,
or H. And I
that
thought,
always bugged me.
Isn't that endless?
Yeah.
I thought, but what a wonderful insight into one of those the minutiae of what it takes to make a culture. So when you come up, and I've always wondered about how rappers do that, because there's a lot of poetry involved in this. There's a lot of thought. Is this crafting the words? Is it like, how does this process work?
I think of like, I'll sit down and I'll think of okay, what reminds me of Cape Breton, what ties us all together for me, and I think like Lick a Chick, and like the way that like you said, the way that we pronounce the words, and Rowley's Wharf, and just all these like places, and then I say, okay, how can I word this into like this rhyme pattern? And I kind of just sat there in the Next Big Thing office with a piece of paper, and I kind of just did it up, and it just formed into that.
But so much of this is in the delivery, because the language has its own music, and rappers maybe are poetic. They're poets first, and there's a way of using your voice and wrapping that voice around the words. How does that work? Tell me about that process. It's on the page, but you bring
Yeah.
something. But if I said it, it wouldn't sound like that, right? It would.
Yeah.
There's a way of.
It takes quite a bit of practice just to wrap your head around it. When say I'm write a new song, you have your music in the background, and you know exactly how the words play out under the beat, right? And when you're writing it, you can kind of just hear it, right? It flows to it, and you bank word for word.
Yeah, and there are moments when I hear two voices, but you're actually double tracking. That's what.
Yeah, it's called overdubbing.
Overdubbing.
It's like a little technique. It just kind of makes the words jump out at you. It's like I think all rap songs really
All
like
rap
use
songs
it.
do that
It's
a
cool.
bit, yeah.
It's like harmonies for rappers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are there ever times, because I do see this in some rappers where they verbally harmonize with one another while they're both on stage. They're interweaving. Now, is that present in this song? Did you do that?
Not really.
Not in the song, but
Not
whenever
in the
they perform
recording.
it live,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
they play off each other.
Definitely.
So in the live presentation.
Yeah.
Now, I actually have Taylor Burton on the line, who is the chorus voice on this. Taylor, hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, Wendy. How are you doing?
Good, and how are you?
I'm great.
So now, did you know Kyle and Trax before? Had you been involved musically with their work before?
I knew Trax before, but I didn't know Kyle before the competition came around.
And you wanted to be a part of this project. Tell me about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, how I got involved was I was already part of the house band for the next big thing. And just when Kyle wanted to do this, wanted to make this remix, of course, there was actually a different group of people that were working on the music for it. And just, I mean, the only reason I got involved was because I was already part of the band, but I was so glad to be a part of it and to actually get to write something and collaborate with other musicians. It was so great.
Now, one of the things that that we were talking about a little earlier today when we were listening to this again is that from the time that this piece of music was written by Kenzie McNeil, and this would have been, I think, if my memory serves me right, in the 1970s, and first presented in the 1970s. And a lot of time has gone past. And in the 70s, you could sing, "And the ways of the world we may never know." And it meant one thing. But today, I don't know what's in your pockets, didn't check you before you came in, but I'll bet you that every single one of you has some kind of a device that we could connect with every corner of the earth if we wanted to. We could get something to translate in any language that we wanted to. So that the ways of the world we may never know idea has changed. There's things in that song that we're we were marginalized in the 70s a little bit, and now we're kind of tell me, when you looked at those lyrics and when you're thinking about those cultural differences, tell me what went through your mind. So let me start with you.
Are you talking about the chorus lyrics or the?
Yeah, the chorus. Well, and the verse lyrics too, because it does speak to a certain time and a certain consciousness.
It's if you're talking about the way that the words used to mean like a rock and a stream, and then now that could be used for like Cape Breton is like that one little place in the big. That's how I see it. That's how I'm thinking in my mind right now. Like that one little rock in that big river kind of thing, and it's just like it takes a whole new meaning now. There's so many metaphors, especially in like hip hop music, and now that we took that song into a hip hop area, it's like it can be used for a lot of different things.
Yeah. How do you see the metaphors playing out?
Exactly what Kyle's saying. That's exactly how I see it. Yeah.
It's so does it? Do you think it means the same thing? This song means the same thing to you as it did to maybe your parents or your grandparents? You're shaking your head. No.
I don't think so. I don't, because now it's like more of a you thing. It's not a bad thing to make it different, but I think it's younger and funner and it kind of attracts people to the island. It's like to the elderly crowd, it attracts people emotionally because like that, and then for the younger people, it attracts people with talking about some of the places like Lick-a-Chick, and then just all those iconic places. So I think, it means it adds more now that we did that to it, and yeah. Yeah.
Well, Taylor, how about you? You have thoughts on that?
My thoughts on the metaphors then and now.
Yeah, the metaphors then and the metaphors now.
Well, definitely in the verses, that spoke to, like you said, a certain time and a certain place and at a certain era where a lot of the issues that went on around the writing of that song, like the unionizing of the different industries and the coal mines and the steel plants, they're not around anymore, and even our industry has changed, and because our industry has changed, so much of our culture has changed, and I think so that, like you said about the ways of the world we may never know. Well, I think we have somewhat of a better idea of the world nowadays in Cape Breton. We're not as separated from the world, and because of that, I mean, I'm really excited about this rap. Not that it's replacing the old song in any way, but that it's just bringing a new perspective to Cape Breton life from the eyes of a youth in the 21st century.
Yeah, but still a rock in the stream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that hasn't
definitely
changed.
That hasn't changed.
That we're still different and we're still unique, but just in a different way.
Yeah, yeah. I have to ask you, the guys at Mischiek must be so happy with you because the power of suggestion on that song must be.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know if Mischiek is listening right now, but you're welcome. And Rolly's Wharf, you're welcome.
And what happens now? Because this is now gathering some momentum. It's been presented on a number of media outlets now. This is obviously moving beyond the youth crowd and into sort of the full generation of Cape Breton. Now, what happens next?
Well, we're just finishing shooting the music video for the song, so that should be available soon. And we're just still trying to just keep pushing it out and getting every person we can to listen to this song. And in some way, every person has and will connect with it on an emotional level. So we're just going to keep kind of pushing it out. And it's on Kyle's debut mixtape, so that's available on iTunes if people can purchase it now.
And the entire world can access iTunes.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas back in the day, it was always hard to get distribution, right? That was the issue.
Yeah, hard copies are kind of a thing of the past since everyone's been buying their music online through iTunes. So
absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you all for coming into studio.
Thank you.
Taylor,
Thank you
for taking our call.
Thank you for having me.
And you are listening to CBC Radio 1 in Cape Breton. I'm Wendy Bergfeld. And, of course, that track, as we say, is available on iTunes. And for those of you who love the traditional, this is actually the version, and I can remember the first time I heard this, actually. The first time I heard this version of The Island, and Peter Zosky played it on Morningside, and I was sitting in an office somewhere on the prairies the first time I heard it, but I can remember thinking what a glorious, wonderful song and what a wonderful place it must be, because I hadn't visited Cape Breton until after I heard this. Let's listen to the Baron McNeils.
And over a sea, beyond these great waters, oh, what do I see? I see the great mountains climb from the coastline.